Hello, how are you doing today? Cheers to you. Got a little lemon green tea, gonna enjoy while we do this video. A miracle is actually in the works because this tea is still hot. The story of my life is to make tea and then forget about it, do a bunch of other things, and we got somebody who's joining us for this video. And just let it get cold. That's kind of my MO. He's ready for pets over by the sun in the window. Coming to you, buddy. A couple more minutes. So this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about being a highly sensitive person. And, I was talking to someone on the phone last winter, an amazing author and mentor. And it was the first time I had spoken to her. And she said, it sounds like you're a highly sensitive person. And I thought, and I really took that to heart in the sense of I think that might really be something. So I went to the website, hsperson.com, and I'll leave that down below. And I took the test and I was like, oh my gosh, every single thing for me was a yes. And in that moment, it was like everything in my life came together and clicked and finally made sense. And there was this whole thing about growing up and feeling completely misunderstood, being deemed shy and an introvert, and I labeled myself an introvert. But the thing was, I've always been so social. I've always been able to, go into a place and I can do public speaking and I'm fine talking to people and whatever. But I've started to notice over the years energetically, when I'm in really high energy or around a ton of people kind of situations, conventions, public speaking, what have you, I'm really drained afterwards and I'm super, super sensitive to energy. So I'm really, something that I notice with my writing is in memory and in my descriptions, are very, very detailed. And that's just my natural proclivity to be very detailed in how I perceive the world. And that's, part of being highly sensitive, to see things and process things with a real layer of depth. And I'm just going to put a disclaimer on this, is that I'm by no means an expert on highly sensitive person. If you think you are or whatever, there's the website down below, and Elaine Aron is the scientist and the woman who discovered this biological trait and has really hashed out all the different characteristics of it. And there's varying degrees and all different kinds of things. The reason I'm talking about it on this video is because it's really played into how I operate and function as a creative person and as a writer. And I've realized that distractions and certain things in my environment, I really have to tweak and control to give me the level of comfort and focus that I need in order to let my creative juices just explode. And also, having to set up my schedule and the amount of social interactions I have to really lessen those so that I can stay focused in on what I'm doing. Because for me, if I were to do 2 social engagements a week, I'm reeling. I'm all splayed out. I really love being centered at home in my safe space, having my daily routine, and writing time within that. And this is something that has actually been a big challenge for me this last year and a half since I've been doing my writing and recreated myself, rebirthed as a Elise Hughes writer, was that I realized I have to get a daily routine under my belt and a weekly routine under my belt where I'm operating really smoothly in these patterns that I've created for myself that really work for me. I used to think oh, fuck the routine, I operate in chaos and I love it, but really I don't. I do much better when I wake up. I have certain things that I do in the morning. I hang out with Jaxie Bear here and comb him in the sun, and I do the plants, and I have some cleansing routines with myself, some self-care things, make a nice meal, get down to writing. And I'm still hashing out things throughout my day that I want to do for myself and putting structure in that, because I often feel when I let things get off the rails, say I get on YouTube or I'm watching clips on Ellen or whatever, I can look up and my whole productivity of my day is just completely shot to shit. And that is the most frustrating feeling when you're like, oh my God, I'm just burning time, I'm just losing time. And you know, something I think is really important is like to know it's okay when that happens, and to just like bring that awareness back to ourselves and say, okay, how can I tweak this so that I'm moving forward with the actual work that is the meat of like what I'm creating here and what I'm putting out here. And for me, that's the writing. So like writing every day writing is like at the cornerstone of like my life. That has to be there every day, because otherwise like I go crazy and I get angsty. And if I go like a couple days without writing, I'm in a weird fucking batshit kind of mental place, and I have to get back to it. And so, you know, being a highly sensitive person, I've realized like things within my environment when I sit down to write, I'm noticing like I like to make my apartment now like a vacuum. So even though I love like open air and windows open and stuff, there's so much noise outside that I get way too distracted. So I'll close the slider, I'll close the windows, and it's just me in here. Even when I'm filming videos, like right now, I could have the screen, you know, the slider open, but I closed it. Because if there was someone outside like making noise, it would affect how I was talking to you. I would get kind of nervous and flustered. I would maybe lower my voice because I didn't want them to hear what I was saying. I wouldn't be like as animated as myself, because I'd have that kind of sheen of like, oh, someone's listening to me right now. So I kind of used to deem that like anxiety or paranoia, but I realized like I'm just so highly sensitive to all these things that really like closing those things off and just creating environments for me to like feel much more free within myself, much safer, is like absolutely key to what it is I'm doing. And a big, like I realized this big time because for about a year, I think it was, I was on Periscope. And I was doing live broadcasts every single day. And so, you know, part of that live broadcasting is you hop on and like people are making comments and you're seeing the stream of comments. And, you know, I'd be like, hey, Sally, hey, Amy, da da da. And I'd be like, you know, responding to people's comments and remembering what I had to say. And I was great at it, but it burned me out like hardcore. That was one of the main factors that contributed to like my final breakdown of like, I can't do this anymore. I have to step back and like rearrange my whole life. And it wasn't even until a year after that I came across Highly Sensitive and started to piece together like what that would actually mean for my life and the ways that I operate best, and you know, how to really like space things out and organize things so that I'm not overstimulated, I'm not overwhelmed all the time. Because being in front of people in such a frenetic environment all the time, and not being able to sit down and have this like one-on-one where it's clear, it's unbroken, it's uninterrupted, you know, I actually function best that way on video. I'm able to sit here and talk in a continuous string to you, and even if I'm jumping kind of from one tangent to the next, I'm having a complete dialogue here with you that when I get off of this, still, after filming like 5 or 6 videos, I gotta take some downtime. But if I was on here doing like live video, I would be tapped after like 1. Same thing like if I go to do some sort of public speaking thing, teach a workshop as I have over the years, after that event, I need a day to like lay in bed and recoup. Like drink tea, lay in bed, lounge, maybe watch a movie, just chill out completely. And I always thought that these things were actually like, gosh, what's wrong with me? You know, like, is it my adrenals? Like, am I just totally like tapped out energetically? Like, what's the deal here? Like, do I not have energy for life anymore? Like, and no, it's not that at all. You know, it's just, I just need a different kind of nurturing at different points to kind of like rejuvenate my energy stores. And you know, there are other different techniques that I use, which you'll see like in bit.ly/DoYoTribe. You'll see my offerings in there for the Do You Tribe and also the around the campfire gatherings that I do every month. And I do an energy cleansing technique called tapping. And tapping really helps me to like center in, release my stress, to give myself love. And to just kind of like reset a little bit, but it's a really self-loving way to do that. And so that's why I include that in all the Around the Campfire gatherings, because it's such a helpful, nurturing tool as far as like being able to access that love for ourselves and like clear out stuff that we're just, you know, strung out on and like a little about, to kind of unravel that and shake it off a bit, energetically, like cleanse it. And so, you know, when it comes to just being a highly sensitive person and realizing like how much like relationships affect me, interactions with people, like everything, you know, I'm so like in tune with all these like different nuances of people and the dynamics, like when I meet people and stuff like that. I'm studying things. So like when I meet someone for the first time, it depends on like their personality type, you know, but I'm like very attuned to like energy types right away. And so I can kind of tell like who I'm going to be fast friends with, and then like how a dynamic within a relationship like changes over time. And I'm very aware of like how I'm feeling about it. So a big thing in my life recently has been to give myself space from relationships and interactions that are draining and that don't feel good to me. And that can be a really hard thing socially, because, you know, it means stepping away from certain relationships. It means changing the dynamic of other relationships and giving yourself permission to essentially be around the people that you want and have the space that you need. And that can be kind of tough. You know, I found that to be a little bit challenging. I still do. But it's something that I've actually gotten the most relief from and the most like rejuvenation from. And I've really started to build my confidence in that, because, you know, when I am involved in things and around people that really lift me up and inspire me and like pull out those parts of me that really just like, oh my gosh, like that feels so wonderful, you know, it really like helps to move me forward in my life. Just like closing a door to keep out the noise. It's like, you know, what kind of energies do you want to have around you, and what really like lights that spark in you? You know, when you walk away from someone and you just like feel like gold and you're so excited to get back to what you're doing, and like, you know, you have new ideas and things you want to do for yourself, and that's like really what I want for my life. And so that was just a little bit on some things that I've kind of come to know so far as being a highly sensitive person, and, you know, how I interact and how I've really changed a lot of the ways that I interact, even with sharing my writing and things like that, doing video versus live broadcasts, and scheduling my posts out in social media versus like being in social media all the time, because I get way too overstimulated and way too overwhelmed. And then it pulls all this energy away from like the work, the creative energy I need for my writing when I'm displaying it out in things like social media. And these are like constant practices that I have to really cultivate and like be aware of and be constantly tweaking, because I get really spun out. And, you know, when you have to sit down and be like your own creative source, there's no one saying, okay, clock in now, or do this now, or whatever. And a lot of times, like, I'm at a point where I'm creating my own deadlines. So I have to be able to sit down and get these things done. And, you know, it's always going to be that way. There's not going to be someone's like, do this now, you know? And so knowing that about myself has completely like changed the game. So some food for thought for you today. And if you want to, I do want to say this, if you want to enjoy the monthly excerpt that I put out once a month, join us via EliseHughes.com. The link's down below for that. And the reason I say that is because I'll send out like an original writing here and there to the email first before I send it out or post it in a blog or anything like that. So I'll send that out, but then I also share like an original writing that I'm working on. So far it's been book excerpts from Trying to Make It. I might switch it up this month and kind of switch up the energy, but it's nonetheless, it's an original writing that I've never shared anywhere else. So if you want to experience that and hear other insights and like things I talk about when it comes to like self-love, or how I function as a creative, or behind the writings, or what I'm going through personally, the email tribe is like a really, really great place to just touch base once a month, and you'll get some of those tidbits from me. Links down below, and cheers. I'll see you next time. Bye.